Hi, welcome back. It's Mr. Canada, and we're still looking at finding percentage of amounts non-calculator method, but instead of being given percentage bubbles, now we're going to try and find what we need. So how exactly, well, we don't actually need to have all that information that we're using. We just need to work with stuff that we want. So how can we break up 35% using some of the ones that we had, right? Because then we can just find which ones we want. So 10% plus 10% plus 10% plus 5%, right? That's a pretty standard way that I think most people would have broken that up. Some might have done 10 times 3, that's completely fine. So, how do we find 10% if 100% is equal to 200? How much is 10% equal, right? So this looks a lot like kind of ratio questions, but instead of having a ratio, we have equal signs. So, but if we just treat it the same, how do we go from here to here? Divide by 10. How do we go from here to here? Divide by 10. Or, we already know we just move the decimal place once, so we get 20. Right? So, and then if we want 5, if that's 10%, 5% is just half of that, right? So, our 5% is just 10. So right away we can go, okay, well that's 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10. Bring it all together. Complete answer, 70. Okay, 12.575% of 130. Okay, well, let's do 10% plus 2.5% plus 0.25%. Yeah. So, what do we need then? We need 10%. And we're going to have to break down 10%, find 5%, and then 2.5. So, let's do that. So, 130. And if you know how to divide them and stuff, you don't have to show your work. So, I'm going to show you what I mean by not showing my work for this one. So I'm just stating what they are. So then I know if I'm doing 10%, I'm just moving the decimal place once, right? Then if I want 5%, I'm halving this. So I get 6.5 is half of 13. So that's 5%. Then half of 6, if I want 2.5, I have to half this again, right? So half of 6 is 3. Half of 5 is 20, or say if this is half of 50 is 25, right? So you can always add a 0 on if that's helping you, because it doesn't add any information to it, and it's not changing your value. And then if we want 0.25 from this, all we have to do is move the decimal place once. So we get 0.325. So here, let's just add these all together that we need. So that's 13 plus, and then 2.5 was 3.25, and then plus 0.325. At this point, some of you might want to stack them on top of each other because you find them easier. I'm just going to count from my right and add them as such. So we have that, and that is going to get 5. And then in the front, we're going to have 16.575 as our final answer.